the Phillips Free Library in Homer. She lives in Homer with her husband, 2 dogs, 5 chickens, and a pet cow named Big Red. Priscilla assures me that is plenty enough. I'm sure a lot of you already know her. So please join me in giving her a warm Rotary welcome.
So thank you. I'm really happy to be here today and tell you about a project we're doing at the library, which I'm hoping everyone in the county will participate in. And I think I can share my screen. Is that true or not?
Priscilla, hold on. I didn't realize you wanted to do that, so I have not given you that ability yet.
Okay.
And while he's giving you the ability,
you have that ability now.
Your,
okay.
Presentation?
Say that again?
Do you consent for us to record your presentation?
Yes, that's fine. Okay, so around October, I heard about a town in Indiana that has this project where they have people in the community that keep diaries, and they've been keeping diaries for decades. And then every once in a while, they pick a day and they collect the entry from everyone's diary from that day. And they actually have an archive of average everyday people's lives throughout time in this particular town. And I thought that was an incredible thing to have. And then about the same time, I read a book called Alone Together, Love, Grief, and Comfort in the Time of COVID-19, which is a collection of essays and poems written by writers throughout the country about the experience of living through the pandemic. And it includes entries from writers like Garth Stein, who wrote Racing Through the Rain, Kwame Alexander, who is a poet and a very well-known young adult author, and Andre Dubus. And so that got me thinking about how we keep talking about living in this incredible time, and yet it feels like it's slipping away without us really talking about what we're experiencing and recording those stories for ourselves to give meaning to our lives, but also for the future, so people will know about this incredible time we're living through. So I decided at the library to start this project, which we're calling Stories from Behind the Mask, to collect the stories of all of us about what this experience is like. And those stories could be anything from, you know, the first time you had to do a Zoom meeting and when you were working at home and you didn't bother to get out of your pajamas, to what it was like to try to, on the fly, teach your children at home, to all the other things that we are experiencing right now. So we decided to collect these stories because there's a lot happening in the world on a huge scale, but what happens in our actual community, we as individuals in a community live through this time, is going to be what really defines us as a community, and is going to be what people coming after us are going to want to know. And so we've started this project to collect personal stories. At the same time, I heard about a grant, and this grant is from the American Library Association and ARSL, which is the Association of Rural and Small Libraries. And they have a program called Libraries Transforming Community, which is projects libraries can start to engage their community in discussions about important topics. And it seems like there are a host of important topics right now, but COVID is really the one that's on a lot of our minds. And so I applied for this grant, and in the way of all grants, you get this idea, you're really enthused, you write the application, you think, this is a really fantastic idea. And and then you get the grant and you think, oh God, now I've got to do all this work. So here we are doing all this work. And there are a few phases of this project. The first is that we're really inviting people to read the book Alone Together, because I think it's wonderful to read the experiences of people from all over the country, people you may have read their books or heard their names, and see how they're just like us, and they're also trying to find meaning out of this experience, to deal with the hardships and grieve the losses, and also maybe find something positive if that's possible. And so we're inviting people to join us for a Zoom meeting Wednesday, March 10th at 6:15 with the editor of the book Alone Together. She'll be offering a reading of some of the texts in the book, and talking about the experience of editing the book, of inviting the other authors to participate, of dealing with finding ways to stay connected throughout this experience. And if you're interested in that, we have extra copies of the book on loan for at the library. So you can just email the library at office@phillipsfreelibrary.org, say you want to participate, and we'll get you registered, send you the link when the event comes around, and tell you how to borrow a copy of the book from the library. We do have limited number of copies, so we are asking that after you read it, you return it so somebody else can get it. And I do assure you, we have very good quarantine policies at the library. So if you get a book someone else has read, it will be safe, because everything that comes back is quarantined for 7 days before it goes out again. The other part of this, of course, is the stories. That's the really big part. And we want everybody's stories. But we also know that a lot of people aren't writers. And so if you don't want to write down your story, we have answers for that. We're offering a writing workshop to give you tips and prompts. That will also be by Zoom. That's Wednesday, April 7th at 6:30. You just have to contact the library to register for that. But in addition to that, we have volunteers and staff members who will be going out into the community to record people's stories. They will interview people, write those up. We are hoping to also record some audio files for those stories. So if you're feeling like you don't want to put your pen to paper and write that out, don't feel like you're going to get off the hook, because we've got an answer for that. And if you'd like to be interviewed or recorded, just give us a call at the library or email us, and we'll arrange to have that happen. Once we compile and collect all these stories, we are in the process of creating a website that will actually archive them. So it's going to have digital files of the text stories. It will have digital files of audio stories from interviews. We're planning on going out and interviewing a lot of the business community, because we know people are busy and don't really want to write things down. And but those stories are really important. So we want to be sure to get them. And we're also inviting people, like not everyone expresses themselves through language. So we're also inviting people, if you've expressing yourself through artwork, take a picture of your drawings, take a picture of your artwork, send it to us. We will add that to the collection. And we're even allowing people, if really you don't want to write down what happened to you personally and you want to fictionalize it into a short story, we'll take those too. Everybody expresses their experiences in different ways, and we want people's experiences, and we're open to the many forms they may come in. And the final part of this is then in June, we are going to have a Zoom reading of anyone who wants to read their story or their poem or talk about their experience or share the audio file from their interview. So Wednesday, June 30th at 6:30, also by Zoom. I'm hoping a lot of us have vaccinations by then, but to be safe, it will be by Zoom. And we'll be sharing those stories and letting people actually hear the stories of people in their own voices as we kind of try to make meaning and record for time and for history our experiences right now. So that's what we're doing. And I'm happy to take any of your questions. If you really have a story you need to share, you can send it to us. You can email it to office@phillipsfreelibrary.org. You can go to our website. There's a link to a Google form where you can type it in. That's www.phillipsfreelibrary.org. You can call us at the library. If you don't, we may track you down anyway to harass you for your story, so be prepared. And that's all I have.
Hey, Priscilla,
Mm-hmm.
this book, Alone Together, what are those stories about? Are they mostly depressing stories like so many of them being alone? Or are they happy stories?
I would say some of them are depressing, you know. There's I have to say the introduction is by Garth Stein, and really the introduction is uplifting. That sustained me through many other aspects of the book. Some of them are rather humorous. There's one by a woman where she talks about how she was so craved for human contact when the shutdown first occurred that she would drive to the grocery store and just sit in her car and watch people go in and out just so she could see people. And that was, as an introvert who was perfectly happy to not see anyone, that was amazing to me to read. The interview with Kwame Alexander is actually about trying to teach his daughter at home. And that was really quite uplifting. And just to see him and his daughter evolving in this kind of way together. So I'd say they run the gamut, probably slightly more depressing than not, but not totally.
You might want to give some thought about publishing a few of them in the local newspaper.
Yeah, so Katie Kaiser said to me, "Are you going to make a book out of them?" And I had to say, well, that seems like a big thing to kind of try to manage. But on the other hand, I'm a librarian, so I really love something that's actually in print. So we'll see. It may happen. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm looking at your website, and 12 to 7 p.m. Does that mean that the library is open 12 to 7?
Well, currently we're doing curbside to the end of this week. So currently you would have to call in to pick something up, but starting next Monday, we're going back to being open. So yeah, those would be our open hours. We're open Monday and Tuesday from 12 to 7, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 12 to 6, and Saturday from 10 to 1.
I just have a question. This is Joanne. Is this, you mentioned that this is being funded in part by a grant. What is your community defined as in your grant? Because is it just Homer, or is it all of Cortland County? How does that work?
It's all of Cortland County. And to be honest, I've had people from outside the county send stories, and we've taken them because, you know, it's hard to put boundaries on community. So,
well, I didn't think you could be putting boundaries on the community, but sometimes the grants put boundaries on the communities.
Yeah, no, this grant is fairly open-ended, so it did not require us to limit ourselves.
Good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Priscilla, has the library been closed all this time, last year?
No. So we were closed from March to the beginning of June during that time period when it was required. Starting in June, we opened and did curbside service for a few weeks, and then we went to being fully open. So, I mean, it's not like what it was. We can't do any programming. All our programming has moved online, and we can't let people come and hang out. So for instance, where we used to have loads of tutors with students in the library after school, that has gone away. But we have still been open and allowing people to come in and browse books. There are extensive rules as to how you can do that. We did for the month of January, because of the increased cases, we did go back to curbside. And so that's what we're doing. But because it looks like things are improving, we are planning on going back to our regular being open for browsing starting on Monday. But like I said, it's not like it used to be. There are a lot of rules of what you can and cannot touch at the library. So.
Do you
Well,
think
you-
the future of the library is going to be affected as far as doing things, downloading books and virtual tutoring and?
So I think there are things we have had to learn to do, like moving programs online, that some of that technology will stick with us. But you know, it's amazing. So we did move some of our budget to more ebooks and downloadables, particularly when we were closed. And we have seen an increase in the use of those things from what it was prior to closing. But it has not anywhere near come close to what our circulation of physical items is. That I think we have not yet, even now in all of this, gotten to the point where people want to totally go digital for reading material. So I don't see it totally changing, but certainly there are things that we have had to incorporate and things we have had to learn that even when things are back to normal, whatever that is, will still kind of integrate into what we're doing, because there have been some pluses. And for instance, we moved all our book clubs online, and so they meet by Zoom. There's great losses because we used to always do crafts and science projects and cooking with the kids as part of the book discussion, which we haven't been able to do through Zoom, and which we really want to get back to doing when we can do things in person. But the thing Zoom actually allows is that if there's a child who can't get a ride to the library today, they could still participate. And so I can see us incorporating that into a kind of hybrid model going forward, so that we can reach out to more people.
You were part of the Finger Lakes library system. Is that still going, where the people pick up the books?
Yeah, so for a while after the shutdown last spring, we were not able to get books for loan from other libraries within the system, simply because it took a long time for people to figure out how to quarantine a book, what the restrictions had to be, that sort of stuff. But now we are back to being able to do interlibrary loans. So yeah, you can still borrow books from any of the Finger Lakes libraries through any of the other Finger Lakes libraries. What has gone away for a while is, it used to be you could actually borrow things from outside the system. So if you had a book you really wanted that was not available in the system, we could borrow that from libraries anywhere across the country. That's a very expensive project, and Finger Lakes, because of state budget cuts, no longer has the money to offer that. So that has gone away. There are also, you know, massive quarantine problems with trying to get something from another state. So that also has contributed to that. But within the system, you can still borrow books, yeah.
You speak of budget cuts. I know that you're part of the Homer School District budget, and they've decided they're going to increase it once again. Did you guys get spared, or did you get a haircut? Or are you in good shape?
So the way library funding works on the school ballot, which a lot of people don't understand, is that it's a separate line item. So we're not actually part of the school budget. It's a separate line item that people vote on. And if we ask for an increase, that has to be voted on. If we stay with flat spending, it's automatic and it doesn't need to be voted on. So the library board decided last year and this year to stay with flat spending. So we are not going to be cut. And we're not asking for an increase. In a lot of ways, we're better off than a lot of other libraries. Other libraries, because our funding comes all through the school ballot, it's a little more secure. Other libraries that get funding through towns, villages, and counties are kind of at the mercy of towns, villages, and counties. And so a lot of those libraries will be seeing cuts.
Any other questions here for Priscilla?
Thank you very much for letting me join you. And if you do have any questions, feel free to call me at the library. And if you have a story, please send it our way. We'd love to get as many in from as many different people as we can.
Well, thank you for sharing these stories from behind the mask with us. I think it's great. And I'll be popping down and giving you one of our Rotary mugs as a what, just put it by the back steps in case?
Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.